Thanks very much, Rocky. And again, thanks to the Micro Focus team as well for inviting us to today's SIG talk. Streamweaver is a company that specializes in streaming data, metric event topology and log data from source systems to destinations, including, of course, Micro Focus OpsBridge. So what we'll do is, let me first introduce Nate and myself. Nate Rich is on. He's a solutions architect at Streamweaver, and he's got decades of experience with very large Micro Focus customers, and you see some of those listed. Myself, I've been a VP of marketing at ServiceNow and a VP at BMC Software. So I come from the IT operations space, but definitely don't have as deep an experience as Nate does in terms of the Micro Focus portfolio. So it's a nice combination. Next slide. So we'll start with a poll. We'll keep a little interactive here. If you could, take a few seconds here, leave it open for about 30 seconds or so, and let us know roughly how many monitoring tools are deployed in your company. This is a question that's really looking at the enterprise. So, if you're involved with a particular domain, let's say the application, right, you might want to think, holistically around the full stack. So if you can get those in, we'll count down to 10.
That's great. Yeah, through the years, Bob, there's always been a lot of tools depending on the silo within the organization to use their preferred tools. So it's always interesting to see how many there are available, or how many are being used in these companies.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
So
here.
Looks like we've got, yeah, you see it. I'll let you talk to it then, if you can see it.
Yeah, no, I sure can. Yeah, it looks like the majority, we're at 50%, have between 6 to 20 tools deployed, which, fits right in, I think, with our, observations. I'm surprised, frankly, that, nobody on the call has more than 51, because I've, spoken to a few large enterprises where, the number exceeded 50, which seems surprising, but I think it's just indicative of the challenge, right? Rocky basically pointed it out that, each of the domains, if you think about the full stack, they have traditionally have had different teams, and different teams, adopt what are sometimes called best of breed tools, right? So thanks for putting that up, Rocky. We'll go back to the deck now. Next slide. And this is what the result is, right? If you think about the 6 to 20 monitoring tools, it's basically those specific domains from the app down to the network that are adopted by these siloed teams, and that data normally remains siloed as well, right? So, one option, if you wanted to take an enterprise-wide view, is to basically create one-off integrations, right? We call them brittle integrations, and I'll explain that as we go through the presentation. But of course, the permutations are enormous, right? If you've got 20 tools and you try to integrate, each of them together, you're obviously talking about a very large project, right? One that's going to take significant time, investment, and so forth, right? Our proposition is, focus on the business, right? Not on acquiring data. In a lot of respects, Streamweaver is a plumber, right? That's the business that we're in. We're in the plumbing business. With Streamweaver, we ease access to data, right? So if you have, a tools proliferation issue like most enterprises do, you can consolidate and get that visibility across the entire IT estate. And as I mentioned, creating, maintaining these separate integrations doesn't scale, and it ties up dev resources, defocuses dev resources from, working on, core issues, right? Like, for example, working closely with the business, right, as opposed to, doing non-value added work. With that, next slide, please. The bad news is, if you will, right, there's always a silver lining, but The bad news here is that the challenge is only getting worse. You know, there is no slowdown in the rate of, you know, new tools that are coming on the scene, right? You know, new types of sources, the amount of data, the diversity of the data types. So Streamweaver provides you the capability to universally distribute that data, you know, to where it can be used best. And we do, you know, as we transport that data, we normalize it. So source systems don't need to know about the requirements of destination systems, and destinations like Micro Focus Ops Bridge don't need to know specifics about the source tools. Right? Next slide. And so that's, you know, again, what Streamweaver does, right? So, you know, we stream operations data from all domains and all clouds, right, to the applications and teams best positioned to achieve the desired business outcomes. You can see the interface in the middle, right? That's actually our UI. And, you know, obviously you can see that there's a set of sources or origins on the left and a set of destinations on the right, including across Micro Focus. You know, our solution is highly scalable. It you know, is highly available. We guarantee delivery. As part of that, we do data flow throttling. These are features that if you were going to, you know, do those 20 integrations manually, chances are that you wouldn't build in those features, right? So in addition to, you know, making this quick and easy, we also provide a lot of functionality that is normally not, you know, developed by folks that, you know, do the integration development on a one-off basis. Nate is going to take us through at the end of these slides. I know I've got a couple more, and he's going to actually show you an integration of App Dynamics into, you know, to Micro Focus Ops Bridge. And he's going to show you how you can do it in 3 minutes. All right, that's how fast we can go. Next slide, please. You know, I'd like to say we're enterprise proven. You can see some of our customers. And of course, you know, on our partner side, you see Micro Focus there, as well as a few you know, few other names. You know, it's a quote from Roy Ilsley, who's an analyst at Ovum, right? And he said, Streamweaver takes the view that data is a source of knowledge. So it makes disparate data sources available in real time so that IT ops can ensure that service quality is maintained. And I think that's a great quote because that pretty much sums it up. Next. And, you know, the business value that we're able to bring is, you know, by what I like to think of as supercharging, you know, the investments that have already been made. You know, for example, if, you know, the app, just, you know, you're going to see a demo of it in a few minutes, but if the application team, right, decides to adopt, you know, App Dynamics as, you know, their APM platform, there's no reason why a wonderful, you know, analytics, you know, tool like Ops Bridge shouldn't have access to that data, right? Because by, you know, taking that data and data from other tools, you get that holistic enterprise-wide view, right? So, you know, some of the, and I won't read through all of these, but obviously, you know, reduce MTTR and reduce MTTK, right? The concept of mean time to know and mean time to respond, right? You know, one of the great things about consolidating data is that it avoids some of the typical challenges with war rooms, right? Because it's pretty obvious once you consolidate all the data about, you know, what went wrong, you know, what was the root cause of a particular outage. And so we look at it in terms of increasing service availability, right? And this is enabling. We enable an increase in service availability. We normalize data streams, again, reduce months of developer time to minutes. And, you know, we're location agnostic again, so we can pretty much get data from any cloud or any, you know, on-premise locations, you know, to a consolidated view for IT. All right, next slide. This is the tools that we support, as well as the early view into our roadmap. So if you see in the top, we've got about 30 tools or so that are either source or destination. And you can see, you know, I can read through these. There's actually a, you know, a handout, right, or you know, an artifact that you can, you know, that you can download from the Vivid site that actually has a lot of the details here. In 2018, we have a plan, you know, for the rest of this year, basically for the next couple months, to, you know, bring additional integrations over the goal line. And in 2019, obviously, right, we have a plan to develop a number of different sources. On the destination side, we're still going through and you know, figuring out what the right approach is. So, you know, that will most likely be updated as we proceed into 2019. I think the one thing you can take away from this, though, is we have critical mass, right? You know, these are out-of-the-box integrations. And Nate is going to show you how at least the App Dynamics one works, but it's very similar to how the other ones work. Okay, next slide. And of course, you know, the question is, you know, why buy it, right, when I can build it? In addition to the fact that some of those features, that enterprise functionality would be missing, you know, there's an ROI case here, right, both in time to value as well as in terms of cost avoidance, right? And the third angle in that would be getting, you know, the folks like developers to focus on those core initiatives as opposed to doing, you know, these one-off, you know, plumbing-oriented integrations, right? So again, that's our value prop. Next slide. And so, you know, this is the way we view the world, right? Is that finally, you know, enterprise data is useful and actionable, right? We take it from any cloud and from any tool, and, you know, we automate the integration of that data into destination tools like Micro Focus Ops Bridge, all right? And, you know, by liberating that ops data, you do get the visibility into the entire, you know, IT environment. And the end result is you can accelerate remediation and obviously continuously improve, you know, based on this new view into all the enterprise data in a you know, a great tool like Micro Focus Ops Bridge. All right, next slide. I'm going to turn it over to Nate to do the platform demonstration. Right, but just before we do, there are 9 mediators available. The Streamweaver mediators are marketplace, right? So if you go to the, you know, marketplace, ITOM contents, and search for Streamweaver, you'll see those mediators. You can, you know, those are free, right, to get you used to the system. In addition to that, there's also a handout here that I took a screenshot of that's on the left-hand side, which you're, you know, more than welcome to download. And with that, Nate.
Alrighty, thank you for that. Let me switch over to a different screen. Alrighty, so we should be viewing at this point the OpsStream UI, and so as Bob said just a minute ago, we're going to go through a live demonstration of connecting a couple of tools here. So we're going to take an App Dynamics instance that I have set up here with a few applications in it right now. This is one of my instances here, and an application, Phantom Writer, is actually the one I'm interested in today. And then I've got on this side OMI set up. It's a completely blank instance at this point. There's nothing in it, no topology, no events, no metrics. So we're going to show you how to resolve that. So back in the OpsStream UI under the Weaver tab, we're going to start by creating a new stream. It's a little plus symbol here. It takes us into a guided wizard that we can quickly step through these configuration steps here. So on the new origin side, it's going to be again App Dynamics and type. I'm going to give it a unique name. I already had one called App Dynamics, so we'll just call this one AppD. I'll now provide the credential information and the server information to connect to that system that I just showed you.
I'm done. Someone else is doing their demo.
Carol, I can hear you, just so you know. And then we've got the credentials. If I typed it in right, yep, we're able to move forward. So for the destination side, we're going to be leveraging the OpsBridge connector today, that mediator for the destination side. So we're going to save that, no credentials to pass for it. So I'm going to pick now the data types for step 5 here. I'm going to take all 3 and specifically the health rule violations out of AppDynamics are interesting to me. At this point in step 6, we configured the collector. So this is the stuff coming out of AppD. On the events side, we talked about an application I'm interested in, which is Phantom Writer. It's an actual app running in the background. And we got that list as a query of the AppDynamics systems because we entered the credentials earlier. So that was a drop-down list we could pick from. It did a secondary query if you caught that, where the tiers started to show up, and those are the tiers related to this application as configured in AppDynamics. The rest of this stuff is all set to default to collect all events, or all health rule violations in this case. And I'm asking it to collect every 5 minutes with the schedule here, and the time window is going to be also set to 5 minutes by default. So that's it for the events. For the metrics, it's a very similar process. I'm going to ask it to go a little bit faster. I'm going to go every 2 minutes. Again, for Phantom Writer as the target, all tiers. And you'll notice I have a bunch of metrics paths down through here. These are the out-of-the-box template that we provide. These are the most interesting metrics as most people find them out of AppDynamics. Of course, you can remove them if you want to, add other ones if you need to, etc. But I'm going to ask it to pull the last 2 minutes every 2 minutes just to get a little bit faster for this demo. And then lastly, for topology, it's very similar. I'm going to go, again, a little bit quicker than normal. I'm going to do a 2-minute schedule and focus on the topology from Phantom Writer out of AppD. So at that point, the collector is done. We can save that and move forward to the distributor side. Just a few options available to us here for the events. I do want to have field labels, so I'm going to select that. Metrics, same thing. I do want field labels in my output. And then for topology, I want it to evaluate for deltas in the topology every 2 minutes just to match the collection side. So that's it for the topology and then the distributor itself. And lastly, we give it the name. We'll use the default and save and start this stream. So now it puts us back into the Weaver tab. And you can see we have a new card here on the left on the origins and AppD, and it's connected to OpsBridge connector that we named earlier. And it's got these 3 channels. We've got an orange one that's metrics, a dark blue that's events, and a light blue that is topology. A little ant trail means that it's moving. So at this point, we have configured the integration between the 2 tools, and that work is done. What we do need to do is give a little bit of time for the processing to happen as it pulls from AppDynamics, makes with those files, populates those files, and then makes them available for OMI to absorb and start processing. So that's what we're giving a little bit of time for now. You see as we're watching the OMI screen for data to start coming in, the health violations popped in as the events file was read. So you can see a variety of health violations from AppD. It's got all the information you'd expect. That gives you the triage level info for AppD. Another cool thing that we provide is the URL for drill down, so you can go into a specific event and leveraging the show. I can get my UI to wake up. The show event and source manager. It'll actually do a context pop-up of AppD for you, right there on that event. You know, I haven't logged in just a minute. So put in my password. So it loads up the context driven here. So you've got this health violation, JVM heap utilization too high, and there it is drilled in for us there. So a couple of things that are there out of the box. Let me check on our topology. That's the one, when the topology shows up, the views start to get created. It takes just a little bit of time for that to happen. So give it just a minute here.
While we're waiting for that, just for the folks on the call, don't be confused by OpStream, right? That's a brand name that we're retiring. We're standardizing on Streamweaver. So that update hasn't been made in the UI yet, but it'll be done by December.
Again, we're just waiting for files to flow through. The expectation will be this will pop up with a refresh, and we'll be able to take a look at that. A couple other things we can look at in the UI while we're waiting for that data to flow through is there's some other tabs that we didn't talk about at all. So we obviously we have things in here showing showing connectivity from one tool to many tools and many tools to one tool, things like that. All those are possible with an integration platform like Streamweavers, and a few different other features you can look at would be the dashboard tab, where we can actually keep track of the performance of our integrations and what's running, what's not. The last pull, what came across. You can even get down into the details of exactly what was pulled. So the last time we pulled it from AppD on this, We got 9 healthware violations, 78 samples of topology, and 60 metrics, just to kind of give you an idea of the insights we can give to customers whenever they're leveraging the platform. And I'm checking on the flow here. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I know we've got some more.
Yeah, we have some more slides to view. So if it's okay, why don't we just go through those slides and we can come back and take a last view on it.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go back to that, and then I'll pop back in hopefully before we end this thing. So let me go back to the slides. This one, start PowerPoint.
All right. Rocky, you want to take over?
Sure. So thanks, guys. Yeah, just a lot of content between the Micro Focus team and the Streamweaver folks. I loved all the demos where we're actually getting into the product and getting a sense, at least a quick sense of how the product works. So that's perfect for what we want on a SIG Talk. We had a couple of questions. I think we've answered them online. Not a whole lot at this point. If you've got a question, please put it in the question panel and we can get to it. Let's go to the next slide. So while, if we've got questions, we'll get to them here in a minute, but just to let you know, we've got a number of Vivid events coming here in the near future. On November 6th, they're doing a spotlight on one of our directors and great volunteers, Bob Cruz, and from Checkpoint Technology, and just to kind of talk about their experience in our realm, if you will. And on November 7th, there's an ALM event. I'm not sure if it's just a regular webinar. And then November 15th, we've got our last SIG Talk IT operations event coming up, and I think one of them is a presentation from a university and how they've used some of the Micro Focus training, the ART training tool to get people up to speed with the technology. But we'll get that marketed here very shortly. Next slide. Again, at the end, please fill out the survey. And if you've got any topics of interest or you would like to present or you know someone that you'd like to hear from, feel free to put that on there. That'd be great. So let's go back to your demo if we can and kind of get the end result, because I think we're done on this side.
Nate, are you on mute? Nate?
We have lost him.
It just says, yeah, for some reason he's not being able to unmute. Yeah, unfortunately he wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, he says go to
Well,
webinar. It's frozen, so our apologies, but
no problem. I think we were at the end there anyway. So again, I want to thank Micro Focus from this event. Without that help, we can't do them. And I want to thank the guys at Streamweaver for sharing what they're doing with the technology and providing this content to our members. So with that, I think we can close out the SIG Talk for October, and we'll see you next month. Thanks, everyone.